Good evening and welcome to episode 6 of the Officials Podcast. Our guest this time is Level 5 Birmingham FA referee Cal Johnson. Cal, how you doing, mate?
All good, mate. Thank you. What about yourself?
Fantastic. Yeah, mate, it's class to be back out refereeing, isn't it?
Yeah, loving it, mate. It's great to be back, and yeah, hopefully the weather will continue to be as good as it's been over the last couple of weeks, and we can get the games in.
Oh, it is lovely. But no, so obviously your refereeing career, mate. Obviously, you're a level 5 now. You're a young level 5. What sort of started it all off for you? What got you into refereeing to begin with?
Yeah, so the journey started for me back when I was 14. So that would have been back in 2014. And yeah, it was my dad that pretty much, come up with the idea of refereeing for me. Was keen to, allow me to get some pocket money at that young age. And it was pretty much either get yourself a paper round or, what do you think about getting into refereeing? And, that's pretty much how it started. Got onto my course at Birmingham FA and pretty much, the rest is history. My dad pushed me into doing it just to, pick up a bit of pocket money. It weren't something that I ever see myself doing, to be fair. I did, enjoy playing the game from a young age, from pretty much 7 through to when I was, 16. So I was still playing and reffing. But from the minute I picked up the whistle, I fell in love with it. I really did. So yeah, as I say, from starting back when I was 14, and then, to sitting there, I'm 21 and level 5, it's been a roller coaster of a ride, really, but enjoyed every minute of it.
Nah, it's great to hear, and it's quite interesting as well because obviously I'm a level 5 myself. We are similar age, we live in a similar area, obviously, but you started a lot earlier than me, so I suppose you've been able to experience it more, and I imagine you're really glad looking back now that you did start so young because you've obviously had more time to learn and more time to sort of grow and develop.
Yeah, so yeah, completely. I think that, starting out when you're 14, that's the youngest that you can take the course, isn't it? And those years of kind of youth football, I think that they taught me so much. I'll touch on it a little bit later on the call about some of the things that I experienced when I was, pretty young and like I say, inexperienced as far as refereeing was concerned. But yeah, I learned so much at such a young age in regards to refereeing, really, and just seeing the game from a different angle. Seeing it as a player is one thing, but when you're trying to control parents, players, coaches, it just gives you that complete different angle on football, really. And like I say, I think at first it was a bit of a shock to the system, and there was times like we've all had as referees, you think, is this for me? Is this the right thing to do? But yeah, I think once you get over that, that barrier of some of the obstacles that are in your way, it is a great thing to do, refereeing, and yeah, it's something that I'd advise any kind of young 14-year-old to get into, really, especially with everything what's going on at the minute. It's a great little learner for somebody to pick up some money, but I think we're all aware that refereeing is, it's not as popular as maybe it was, back in the day, so to speak. So there is that massive opportunity, really, for younger officials like me and you to progress and do well within refereeing. So it's great to kind of hopefully influence that and get more younger officials in.
No, fantastic, mate. And obviously, I know you're in FA Core. I've had the privilege and I've had the opportunity to run your line, and I really enjoyed doing it. But obviously, with regards to your career from 14 to 21 now, what has it been like? What have you experienced? How have you sort of progressed over the last 7 years?
Yeah, so started off in the Walsall Junior Youth League. That was my grounding. That was where I started off, and it was pretty much 9-a-side football, 11-a-side kind of under 15s football. That give me a flavour of kind of 11-a-side football. And at that age, you know what it's like. Teenagers. It was tough because I think for me, looking back, some of the teenage games that I used to do at that under 15s level, when I was coming through as a referee, yeah, that what it's like when you're coming through and you're a teenager and you got hormones. It was difficult to manage, and I think that that at that level it was good to experience and pick up those little development points as I kind of progressed. I mean, went through the youth football at Walsall Junior Youth League. Then what I did was I knew that I wanted to get into the adult game, so I transitioned across to the West Midlands Christian League, which I can't speak highly enough of. It's a great stepping stone for any young official that wants to get into the adult game, because the the teams on that league are very respectful, they're very polite, and for me, I just saw that as a great opportunity to get into the adult game really, and never looked back since. Spent the majority of my season when I was going from 7 to 6 on the West Midlands Christian League alongside the Wolverhampton Sunday League. So I got my games in on those two leagues, and got my first taste of adult football back in 2018-19. That would have been. So that was good grounding for me, and then from there transitioned across to obviously West Midlands Regional League and MFL. At that very same season, and kind of committed to it then. Once I got to level 6, it was a case of saying, okay, how can I progress to the next level? And I think it was just committing my Saturday afternoons then to referee, and I give up my season ticket at my local club in West Brom, and it was okay. Now let's take refereeing seriously. Let's try and get from 6 to 5, which I did in season 2019-20 on the MFL and the West Mids, and hopefully, this season, I know it's been a stop-start, but I am a candidate for 5 to 4, as I know that you are. And hopefully, I know that it's been a stop-start season, but with the cup competitions that have come back around now, it's just a case of trying to get as many games in as we can until the new season comes around.
No, fantastic, mate. And it's like obviously we are in a similar situation, and I know there's many referees up and down the country who are in that similar boat, and there's a lot of uncertainty around refereeing at the moment. And there's a lot of sort of, what's sort of going to happen with regards to me, my progression, my career. But it's nice to sort of, instead of look to the future, to sort of look at actually this is what I have done so far. And it has set you up, and it set me and it set many officials up in a really good position for hopefully what the next 6, 12, 18 months might potentially hold for us. But now it's wicked, mate. So now I want to ask you a little bit about Referee Association, because I know you've sort of been able to benefit from your involvement in the RA. Could I ask you what RA you're in first, mate?
Yeah, so I'm in Wolverhampton RA. It's the RA that I joined due to, it was recommended to me really by a close friend in Daryl Foster. So me and Daryl go back a long way. He used to work at he used to run a local football team that I played in at a young age, and he was also a very successful referee. So it was him that kind of got me into Wolverhampton RA and said, listen, come along to the meeting and get involved. And never looked back ever since. They do great work there. As some of the pictures that you flick up, some of the people that I've met in terms of FIFA referees and Premier League referees and Premier League assistant referees have been through the RA. And for me, the beauty of the RA is just the experience around the room. I know we haven't been able to do it kind of in person over the last 12 to 15 months, but we've had Zoom sessions, and you just you pick up that experience. I think that that experience around the room and the years that they've got, there's just something about it. You've got to pick into that experience really, and use that experience to develop your own game, because as we're aware, the older officials will obviously decide not to referee anymore, and we'll be the young blood that will kind of follow on from the good work that they've done. So whatever advice they've got to give us, I think it's just so beneficial, because they give you that different angle. They can give you a view on how they approach certain situations and things like that. And for me, it's been so beneficial to have that support network really at the RA. And again, I couldn't speak highly enough of Wolverhampton RA and all the members there really.
No, it's really good. And I myself, I'm a Bromsgrove RA member. A little bit of a smaller RA, I imagine, than Wolverhampton, but in a very similar boat. We've had some fantastic guests come down. I benefit massively, like all we all do, from the experience involved. And it's very similar to yourself, of course, of what you're saying about Wolverhampton. Is it's great to sort of go, be around referees, benefit from referees, learn, develop, etc. And not only that, you also get the social side of it, which I imagine you've obviously been able to benefit from as well, where you're meeting people who also share similar interests to yourself and sort of have the same sort of desires and ambitions as you do with regards to refereeing.
Yeah, definitely, and it's that mix of experience, isn't it? There's a brand new officials that kind of join the RA that have just got their badge in, and they're all firing and ready to go, and then you've got the people that have been there for years and years, and that real mix of ages. There's just something about those sessions and having that mix of experience that it does work. And like you say, the social element of it, it's just great to like you say, have that time every month where you switch off from the on-field stuff and just get to know some of your peers really. And yeah, it's a great platform really, the RA is.
No, brilliant, Matt. And then just moving on, I want to chat a little bit about FA Core as well. How long have you been in FA Core, just to begin with?
So the first season was this season that
Yeah.
got introduced to FA Core, and I know that me and you have worked together on the FA Core this season, and similar to the RA, I think it's a great way of enhancing your game. I think that the people that are on that call, they're all ambitious people. They're all very hungry in terms of what they want to do in their refereeing career, and like you say, I think sometimes without that platform to share best practice and ideas, you are very lonesome as a referee, other than obviously your team that you've got on the match day, your 2 ARs. Away from football, you've got the RA, which is great, but in terms of having that support network of people, I think that core's been great for me. I've met some people, yourself being one, James Alaband, I've met, and from core, and you share best practice. You've got that support network of people that are refereeing similar games to you, might have similar teams to you, and it's just a case of using that platform and like I say of core to look at what other people are doing, sharing best practice, and developing each other really. And I think that it's a great way of all pulling the same direction, which I think is what core does, and it provides you with. Obviously, we haven't had the experience of going to St George's Park and doing it face to face again because of the situation that we've been in, but I've benefited so much from core and the coaching element of it as well. Having a match day coach that not necessarily will see you every game, but just that knowing that there's somebody at the end of the phone if you need a bit of clarification on something, or you just need a bit of advice on something, is just something that is so beneficial. And it's something that, like I say, I've really benefited from this season.
No, I'd echo almost every single word you've said. Obviously, it's just fantastic, isn't it? Really, and it's really beneficial on so many different ways and so many different levels. Speaking about how core and VRA have been able to help develop obviously yourself and obviously referees similar to us. I know you're really interested. I know you really like to sort of help develop the new breed of match officials, the people just passing their exams. Obviously, for 14-year-old Cal Johnson, who's now 14-year-old John Smith or whatever. How do you find obviously being able to go and help those young officials, or how do you go about helping new young match officials?
Yeah, so there's a lot of new young match officials that I'm familiar with just from, like I say, local football clubs that I've been involved with, and I always like to stay in contact with them in regards to how they're getting on, how they're progressing, and just be that support network for them. Really, I didn't have that. I had one person in Daryl Foster who I mentioned earlier on in the call, who was my pretty much go-to person for whatever I needed back when I was 14, and he was the only person that could really relate to the referee side of things. I could speak to my family about it, but referee, I think refereeing, it's a dark art, isn't it? And you need that support network of people to support you with certain situations. And for me, I had Daryl Foster to support me, and I just like to be that kind of support network to younger officials. As there's a couple of young people that are kind of coming out of school that I'm speaking to at the moment, that they notice that I've got pictures on my social media of me refereeing, they notice that on my Facebook, and it's nice just to get a direct message from a younger person who's not even decided to take up the course yet, that just wants advice around what's the best county FA to join, how do I go about starting refereeing, and for me that's great, because as I've mentioned to you, there's such a big opportunity for younger officials to go far in the game, and it's something that I want to try and do something with a lot more, with the RA. Maybe I know that you've obviously got the youth RA council now. I think that's something that's fantastic, a fantastic way to, like you say, help those younger match officials, and it's something I'd like to do a little bit more of. I'm doing a lot of it at the minute, but I'd like to think of a way of how we can do it a lot more. Just to, like I say, just help those younger match officials who are starting off in their career, really.
No, brilliant, mate. And obviously, then if you sort of look just at you as an individual, what do you sort of want to achieve in refereeing? Is there like a long-term goal, or is it sort of season by season almost?
Yeah, I think the long-term ambition for me is always to try and get as far as I can. I think that I've tried to chunk up my goals, because I think if you have a big, a too big of a goal, then it's difficult to really measure yourself and manage that. So yeah, I'd agree with your second point around just trying to take it season by season and kind of break it down into what I need to do to get to the next level. And for this season, it was to get to level 4. It was I was on course to do it, obviously. Unfortunately, the season has unfortunately come to a close, which has meant that circumstances mean that I won't get it this season. But I just need to now use the experience that I've had in the past year and the games that I have had into next season, and yeah, just work on the things that I know that I need to develop on, and just try and go and take it season by season. And I think once you get to level 4, I think I think it was Mike Slater who gave me this advice when he observed me back at when I was going 7 from 6. But I think he said once you get to level 4, it is a part-time job. Then it is a bigger commitment. And I think that once I get to level 4, that's when I'll really start to think about, okay, so what do I need to do to get to level 3 and really start to just draw out some plans in terms of what timescales I need to work towards to get to that next level. And I think that'll be the exciting part. But I've got to get to level 4 first. So yeah.
No, brilliant. So you sort of your ambition at the moment is to get to level 4, and then once you hit that point, or when you hit that point, then it's a case of, right, what do I need to do now to sort of progress myself, better myself, etc.
Yeah, completely that. And I think that the massive thing for me, and I think you touched on it earlier in the call, Harley, is that even though we haven't been officiating as much as we would have liked over the last 12 months because of the pandemic, I think what it's allowed us to do is just having that stop and reflection and work on the things that you maybe didn't have the time to do. So like laws of the game, doing online sessions with the RA, doing the sessions regularly with core, and just keeping on top of the things that when you've got games constantly running through, Tuesday, Saturday, and sometimes that busy mindset as well as working, you lose track of that, don't you? So I think the time that I've had over the last 12 months has benefited me, if anything. So I've tried to look at the positives out of the situation, and like I say, it's just a case of getting to level 4, and then from there reset the goal and look at trying to achieve the next step, basically.
No, we can, mate. Then I say finally, when I do my quick fire answers, it always takes longer than everything else. So we'll see how quick they can actually be. I won't give you a time limit because that's not fair. But as quick as you possibly can, obviously, answer sort of these questions. So firstly, mate, obviously your career so far, what's been your favourite game so far?
So favourite game, I thought very long and hard about this, and I've got 2. So sorry, but I couldn't choose one.
Shocking.
So the first one I want to share with you is the game that I had this season, and it was an FA Cup preliminary round. I was actually on the line. You got the picture up. I think it was probably the first picture that you put up.
Is it that top one?
That's the one on the bottom, on the bottom left. Sorry, flick it again. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So it was that game, and as you can see, there was fans at the game. And it was I think it was 12th of September that the game went ahead, and the band was there from Sutton. It was Sutton Coalfield Town versus Belper, and I had a couple of people message me when I got the appointment, says, you'll look forward to the band, because I'd never experienced them before. And for me, with it being an FA Cup preliminary round, pre-match songs were playing when we were warming up. Kurt Bartlett was in the middle and Kieran Forrest was on the other line. So we were doing our warm up, and you could see the fans filtering into the ground. The Sutton Coalfield Town band was playing, and the sun was shining. It was a fantastic day, and it was probably the first moment in my refereeing career where I felt like I was on a professional game, even though it weren't it weren't a professional game. It weren't a Manchester United versus Liverpool or anything like that. But it was just the first moment where I looked at and I thought, wow, I feel quite proud to be part of this and to be on this game. And it was just something about the crowd. I was a little bit anxious really about how I'd react to it, because it was quite close to me, the band was, and I weren't sure whether it would put me off or anything like that. But if anything, it just made me concentrate even more, and it was just a great game to be part of. It really was. So that was one. Again, I weren't the referee for that game. I was AR, but the second game that I wanted to share with you was the game that we were on. And again, I'm not mentioning it because you were on it, but it was the Knoll versus Northfield game.
That's good. That's
Which
a
was
good
the
game. That
first.
was.
It was the first game of the season after the COVID lockdown for me, and it was my first middle. I was being observed on the game as well, as you're aware, and that game was again a very hot day. It was a local derby, and it was a game that had quite a lot of action in. You know what it's like when you're being observed. It's sometimes you want games like that, because if the game's a 0-0 draw and the teams aren't really, competitive, it's very difficult for you to really do anything out of the ordinary, or gain any kind of grip of the game, because the game just passes you by. And for me, I love to be part of games where there's something at stake, and that game was just, it was fantastic really. It was a game that I felt that it was a difficult game. I come off it and I thought that was a test for me.
It was,
but
definitely.
It was a game where all the hard work that I put in through the lockdown, 5K runs and trying to keep on top of the laws of the game, and just trying to visualize what that first game would look like after the lockdown. It just felt like all my hard work had kind of paid off, because I just felt like I was fitter than I probably have ever been on a football pitch, just because of all the kind of running that I was doing and things like that. And yeah, like I say, I mean, I had 4 yellow cards, a second yellow card, a penalty, and yeah, it was just
two good linos as well.
Well, and 2 fantastic linos, which helped. But yeah, I just really, really enjoyed that game. And even though it was just a league game, it weren't a cup final, or it weren't, a massive game as such. It was just a standard league game. For me, it was just, there was just something about that game that I just really enjoyed. And I've reflected on it. I think, you know what, that was a good performance. And I think if you can come off and you can reflect on a game and say, that even though it was a tough game, it was a decent performance, that's always a big plus point for me.
No,
I'm pretty critical over myself sometimes.
I know, I could tell. Yeah, you came off and you were like, "Oh, I don't know." And I won't mention the assistant referee's name, but I know we both spoke. We were like, "He's a good referee." He is. You see some people like good referees now, and you had a really good game. I won't ask you to share your mark, but I will ask this question because I know what the answer is. But were you happy with the mark you received?
Yeah, completely. I completely was happy with the outcome of the observation, and I think that sometimes when you have a game that has so many key match decisions that you've got to make, you think, surely I must have got one wrong, or surely I've made a mistake somewhere.
It's like there's lots of room to sort of do well, but then there's also lots of room to mess up.
Yeah, so, completely that. But yeah, I was over the moon with it, and like I say, being observed on my first game back after an extended period of lockdown, I'm not going to lie, I was nervous for that game, and you could probably see, in the pre-match, I know that I like to get the tunes going. That's just something that calms me down before a game. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking for me, and I think it was for us all, to come back from a lockdown of not refereeing and not being part of football for a while, and to be back and kind of into a game like that. It was tough, but yeah, on reflection, like I say, I enjoyed every minute of it, and I think that that's propelled me into having a decent season really, because it started well. If that game wouldn't have gone well, you never know what your form's going to be like, do you?
I know, yeah, you don't want to. You want to give yourself the best opportunity, and I know you definitely did that. And there was also as well, I know you didn't mention, there was also a crowd, and there was also quite a fiery, tasty crowd as well, which can sometimes help, can sometimes not, especially when you're dishing out. Obviously, I know there's a few key match incidents with a crowd there. It can change the temperature and the atmosphere of the game, and it can test you as a referee.
Yeah,
you definitely passed it anyway. But no, it's a weird one, and obviously feel free to sort of dodge a question. But do you have like a worst moment or a toughest moment in your career?
Yeah, I do, and it comes back to what I mentioned earlier on the call around my grounding of youth football. And it was actually, I can't remember which game it was because it was a long time ago, but it was one of my first 6 games. You know, when you first get your badge and you have to do your 6 games to get your get your badge, and I never forget it was over Hydes Road, which is a local park by me in Wednesbury, and it was on the Walsall Junior, the Youth League, and I won't mention the 2 teams, but it was a fiery encounter. Under 15s game. So as I said, there was a lot of testosterone between the 2 sides, and you know there was a lot in the game. And there was a decision that I made to award a free kick, which let's just say that the manager of one side didn't agree with. And at the end of the game, he come over to me, told me that he didn't agree with the decision, told me that I didn't know what I was doing, and he actually squared up to me. So for a 14-year-old lad, on, I think it was, like I say, the second or third game that I'd ever officiated on my own, to have somebody, you know, square up to me was very intimidating, and very scary. And it was something that, you know, like I said earlier on the call, it was something that I was thinking, is this for me? You know, am I doing the right thing by getting into this refereeing? And yeah, like I say, the support network around me at the time, I spoke to the Walsall Junior Youth League, which were fantastic. They really were. Luckily, my parents were on the car park to pick me up, because obviously I didn't drive back then, and because it was the end of the game, they did come over and just you know, just calm the situation down, and everything was fine. But yeah, that was by far the worst moment for me, because, like I say, I don't think anybody deserves that, whether you're a
it's not
25-year-old bloke or, you know, 50-year-old bloke. You deserve your personal space, and yeah, that was just a bit of a, it weren't a nice moment for me.
So I don't tend to say it to clubs or players, but I do say it sometimes to referees when I speak with them. At the end of the day, it's all opinion based, isn't it, refereeing? I know you get your black and white with regards to cautions, dismissals, etc. But with regards to you making the decision there and then, it's down to your opinion of what you think, what you see. It's never really personal. Well, it never is personal. It's just, I think this kind of thing.
Yeah, completely that.
For someone to square up to you and take it on an almost personal level for what's happened in a youth game it's daunting for you. It's also somewhat ridiculous, but it is also daunting.
And it comes back down to, I think the game's evolved so much since then.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm talking like I'm, you know, 30, 40, but even in the space of what is it, 7 years, from 14 to being 21, there's so much more now around protection of referees. I think there was, you know, major campaigns about, like, you know, referees being abused, and referees obviously being, I think there was that one referee up in the north that got hit, didn't he? And I think there's a lot more of, you know, with social media and things now, I think there's a lot more being done to stop any activity like that happening. But obviously back then it weren't the case, and I was just on my own, and I look back at it and I think that could have quite easily just put me off refereeing, and I could have made the decision then to just go, you know what,
and it'd be completely different.
Forget it.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be sitting here now, you know, having a conversation about what might be and where I want to get to. But yeah, that was definitely the worst moment for me. But like you say, these things happen for a reason, and you learn from it and move on.
Well, it's better spin or positive spin. What's your best moment, or what's been your best moment so far? And I know
so best moment. Yeah, best moment for me. As I mentioned earlier on the call, I am a West Bromwich Albion fan. But my best moment was actually being 4th official on a cup final at the Molyneux. Would you believe? So yeah, it's the only ground that I've had the I've had the pleasure of refereeing at and being part of a game. Yeah, so I wouldn't say the honour, but it was great to be part of a cup final for one. That was on the Wolverhampton Sunday League. It was a fantastic game. It was Jack Spar versus Emerald. And again, it was the first time I'd ever done 4th official duty. So, you know, I think there's a picture of me somewhere with, you know, holding up a substitutes board, which took a while for me to get used to. But yeah, just again, that the experience of being at a Premier League ground at the time, Wolves were, I think it was a season that they come up and they finished quite high. So, you know, it was just great to just experience being in a Premier League changing room and, you know, getting on to onto the pitch before the game, and yeah, just being part of that team and seeing out the seeing out that Wolverhampton Sunday final. It was just great experience, and yeah, it was by far one of my best moments.
No, it's special to sort of have those. I know it's Wolves and you're a West Brom fan, but to be in the stadium, to feel, you always feel like when you're getting changed in the change room, it's almost like this is a Premier League ground. This is serious now. This ain't a park, and it is.
Yeah, it whets your appetite, doesn't it?
It makes
to
you
try
want
and
to
get that far.
I had it. I'm sure you'll agree. I've had a similar situation. I've officiated at the West Brom ground, but not on the Blues one, which is quite often. But no, being there and being at a few others that I have the opportunity to go to, it does sort of make you go, do you know what? I want to do this every week. I want to get to this level because it's different. It's still 90 minutes. It's still 22 players, and it's still a bunch of blokes wanting to beat the other team. That's all it is, or a bunch of women wanting to beat the other team. But it is it's everything other than the 90 minutes that make it like, I want to do this. And I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but no,
definitely.
What I will do, I've got two more questions. I'll ask you, what would be one piece of advice that you'd give to 14-year-old Cal Johnson, or to another 14, 15, 16-year-old starting referee, or a 30, 40-year-old starting referee? And what piece of advice would you give?
I think for me, it's just expand your refereeing network as early as you possibly can. So that's going to be from either A, joining your local RA, or B, just getting in touch with your county and seeing if there's any sessions that they provide on a monthly basis, or if you can be included in something like we've been fortunate to be included in terms of FA Core. So it's just, get a network of people that are there to support you, and make sure that you get different opinions. So make sure that you don't just rely on the same people. I'd be an advocate of having an experienced official that's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and maybe no longer officiates. Having somebody that's at a similar level to you will always be good, because they're in the thick of it. They're still doing games as you are and refereeing similar games to you, and having similar games, like I say. So that's a big plus point. And then spend some time with people that are coming through, because they might be learning new things that maybe you aren't learning, or they might have a different take or a different style on things that you can still adopt. I think it's just remaining humble, really, and just never feel like you're the finished article. Just continue to learn and put the work in. You're not going to get anywhere without working hard, and I think refereeing is so much more than just going out there and making decisions. It's what you do off the field that's going to make the difference, really, and that's your fitness, it's your laws of the game, it's your preparation before a game. So don't underestimate the off the pitch, is what I'd say, because that's so important in terms of making sure that the on pitch goes well.
No, it is. It's one of you can always, you're only as good as your last game, but you can always be better in the next one, can't you? And there's always, I mean, if we're all getting 100 out of 100 every game, we're all perfect, it'd be pretty boring. You've got to
exactly.
You've always got to look to improve and learn and develop, and all those fancy things that we all have the opportunity to do. But no, final question, mate, because I'm aware that we've been speaking for a while, but dream match appointment. I can put you on any game in the world tomorrow or whenever you want it to be. What would be your dream appointment?
I think for me, it'd be the FA Cup. I know that other people have mentioned the World Cup, which obviously I'd love to do that, but for me, there's just something about the FA Cup. It's that tradition of the game being played from 8:30 in the morning, the pre-match build-up, and you never really know what team it's going to be. It could be a team from the lower leagues. I think there's just something about the FA Cup that's special. Some people say that it's lost its shine, but for me, the dream appointment would be the FA Cup at Wembley. I'd love to do that. It would just be, if I achieved that, I think I'd be a happy man.
No, fantastic. But no, mate, look, thank you so much for coming on and speaking with myself. And I've really enjoyed talking to you. I've seen you before, and I'm going to see you out again. So I do wish you all the best in your future, mate. And obviously with refereeing, hopefully I'll see you soon anyway. But no, thank you very much for coming on, Cal, and have a lovely evening, mate. Thank you again.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for that, Harley. And hopefully we'll be working together soon, mate. All the best.
Wicked, mate. Thank you.